Hello YouTube, today we're gonna work on a simple use case of Beautiful Soup and MySQL, okay? So first of all, what is Beautiful Soup? So Beautiful Soup is this Python library we use to extract information from HTML and XML tags. So what is HTML? The hypertext markup language, and then we have XML. So XML is just a different format. It is used quite a lot in ASP.NET and SOAP APIs. However, what we're going to do today is extract the information from the HTML tags. We'll simply use the constructor of the BS4 object, which is the most recent version of Beautiful Soup, and the find and find all functions, okay? So essentially what you have in here is the constructor object, okay? Beautiful Soup has a constructor object that I'm going to use only with the HTML text and the parser, okay? So the parser is just like this object that we use to analyze the tags of the HTML syntactically quite well, okay? I use an XML parser, which is a high-performance C-based parser for HTML and XML. The find function will work with the tag ID and class and returns tag objects with the respective class ID and tag, and the find all function returns all tag objects with the respective class and tag. So you can see some examples here. So here, for instance, I find a div object with a class of SRP job heading. It just means that HTML objects have classes that we use for the purpose of CSS styling and for the purpose of ordering into specific classes, such that we can derive objects from the particular class to give them certain attributes or certain functionality in a more ordered way, okay? Now here, I also use the find all, in which I find all li objects. Why? Because I am parsing a job listing website. This is practically from the FreeCode Camp project, only that I add more functionality by adding the jobs to the database and updating the database to only have the jobs that I require for the given skill sets. However, I can create different databases such as Job Skills 1, Job Skills 2, just to be sure that I have the particular skills that I have required in the job listings. And I'm going to update it by changing the names of the tables that I create using SQL. Okay. So here what we have is, first of all, the beautiful soup object, I call it. I have soup1. I call the UL because there's an ordered list that has list objects such that each list object is going to be a listing for a job. So essentially what I do is that for each job listing, I get the position, the posting, the company, then I get the skills, okay? So if there are any div skills, I create this, else I just create a blank set of blank skills and I add a not available object. And if any of the skills the user set as input is in the skill list, then I just add it on, okay? So here what we're going to do is create a database called job skills 1, but I'm going to change the name for the purpose of, you know, creating one that has the API and Python, because those are the two skills that I'm going to use, okay? So it's going to be API and Python. So you're going to have API Python. So API and Python. Okay, so you have API and Python right in there. It works. We're gonna see if it works, but for the most part, it will. Like I am quite sure it will. So here I'm just gonna clear this from previous attempts. So we're gonna run python main.py. Okay, so it's loading the jobs, but obviously I use a sleep function. So we have Python, and then we have API, and I write done. Okay. So it samples the data from this one. And we're going to go back to SQL instance that I have, my SQL instance that I have open. So what I'm going to do is select all from, first of all, we're going to show tables. Okay. So show tables. So here I have job skills API in Python. So I'm just going to do select all from job skills API Python. And they got 7 rows. Okay. So you have data miner, data wave, data scraping engineer, so on and so forth. What else can I do? I can create a new one that has a different job requirement, such as Git and Docker. So we can see the difference between the databases. So I'm just gonna use one with Git and Docker. Okay. So let's say here that what I'm gonna do is just add Docker and then Git because we care about alphabetical order in bamboozling bit. So Docker and Git. You gotta know your alphabet, kid. That's what my CS professor told me. Specifically, the data structures professor told me. He said he was really bad at spelling. So he definitely never won a spelling bee. But by contrast, I did pretty well in spelling bees, you know? So here we do love spelling bees and bamboozling bits. So we have Docker and Git. Here we have Docker and Git. Okay. So here we go, running the program once again, loading the jobs. So the Docker Git done. There you go. We have a new set of jobs available. Exciting. So here we have it. Show tables. So we're gonna select all from the job skills, Docker, Git. We have 4 rows, okay? So that is quite a difference with the previous one. Now you might be wondering what happens if I just like don't use any skill whatsoever. And that is a very interesting question. Like no input. So we're going to create a table called no input, okay? So here we're going to have no input. No input whatsoever. So if there is no input, what will happen is that ideally we would get an empty set. Why would we get an empty set? Because it only inserts values if any skill in A skills is a skill in the user skill list, okay? So we're going to get an empty set. And for the sake of proving it more tangibly, I'm just going to do it, okay? So job skills, no input, job skills, no input. So I'm going to do that. Job skills, no input in here. So job skills, no input. Job skills, no input. So go with that one. Works quite well. So we have to enter skills. So I'm just going to done. And you see none. Nothing is sampled from this DB. whatsoever. I'm gonna get an empty set. Okay, so show tables. So no input. There's no input. So we're gonna get an empty set. Select all from no input. Empty set, just as I said. Okay. So you can see that it works quite well for searching a particular set of job listings. And it's just a really simple case of the usage of um, beautiful soup. There's a link to the video that can introduce you further into this beautiful soup realm using this particular website. I just tweak a little bit the code in the tutorial because I want to make it more clean and useful for my particular usage. As I mentioned, I use the an ID that is auto incremented, the position name, the company, then the URL, the posting, and obviously the URL has to be added every single time. And that'll be it. Yeah. Like you see that the posting was like 6 days ago, 30 days ago, 24 hours. So ideally, if I were to update this database just to make it a little bit more robust, I would, of course, add the most recent date to it. Okay. Which is what I'm going to do in the following section. Okay. Okay, so moving on to adding the date time. So datetime object is used to include values that have both the date and time because we want to have date and time because we want to be a little bit more precise about when the posting was scraped, right? So here what we have in here is that you have the year, month, day, hour, minutes, and seconds, okay? So in that specific format. Now here I have an updated, I use the datetime object. I added the date time in the creation of my table. Now, however, I just call date to go to dt.datetime.now and I string it, like I make a string formatted for time and has year, month, day, and it works well. So we're gonna run this once again. I'm gonna run it just to have a more clear idea of how it should work uh, when you're done. So you're gonna have API, Python, done, and you have the time working in there. So all that I'm going to do is select all from job skills API, Python. And you can see here that I have the date. It was scraped indeed. The date scraped column. URL and date scraped. It was scraped on July 12th, 2025 at 9:21 with 52 seconds, and it was like 5 days ago. So you can see how old postings really were compared to its current date. It is just an estimation because they don't give a precise minute or second in which the job posting was performed, right? So that'll be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching it. Just remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to learn a little bit more about scraping, follow up with the scraping projects, and thank you so much. Peace out.